Hey everyone, quick video for you today just talking about 3 items that are special considerations when you're buying an older home. I'm Thomas Harrington, I'm a realtor here in Edmonton, I work with Revere Real Estate. You can find a little more information about me at thomasharrington.ca, and there's links to other videos for buyers and sellers there as well. So today we have 3 key things to consider when you're buying an older home. Now these items do apply to every home, but they are an extra or special consideration when we're dealing with an older home. It's important to say that when it comes to any resale home, everything in the home has a useful life. And if you're jumping into the middle of that timeline somewhere, we kind of have no idea how old everything is or when it's been replaced. So it's really important that we look for these items. Now, and before I get into that, I'll also mention so I have some tips about these items, and I'll also mention the replacement costs. So if you're a home buyer looking at a resale home, you know kind of what you're getting yourself into if you come across any of these items. Now, before we get into the list and get too concerned here, I should mention that any professional home inspection that you're going to get on your next home will cover all of these items in much further detail. This is just kind of a few quick tips if you come across them in your home search. So first item on the list is the roof. So the average lifespan on the roof of a home is around 20 to 25 years. This depends on what type of roofing material is used. The majority of homes in Edmonton use asphalt shingles, or most people just say shingles. You'll also see sometimes like cedar shakes, for example, but those are by far the two most common, without getting too much into the details of how the roofs of condos are done. Now, the age of a shingle or the useful life of a shingle isn't purely based on age. It also depends on what direction the home faces and certain factors such as drainage on the home. Particularly with 2-story homes, the way water drains off the roof can cause shingles to age prematurely. So a few signs to look for the approximate age of the roof. It's quite easy to eyeball, but the first one is if the shingles are discolored at all, or the most clear sign that a roof is basically in imminent need of replacement is if the shingles have started to curl. So basically the shingles at the ends have started to flip up a little bit. That basically means those shingles are essentially past their useful life and need replacement more or less right away. Most sellers know the vague age of their roof, or they may know the exact age. Very often a listing will, for one, mention this, or 2, you or your realtor can simply just ask the listing agent or the seller. The replacement cost for the roof on the average home is going to be between $10,000 to $12,000. It can vary a little bit either way depending on the size and the shape of the home, but that is the approximate range for a replacement cost. Number 2 on our list is windows. Now, age of windows is very important because to replace windows on a home is actually arguably the most, if not one of the most expensive things to fix or replace. And just a bit of a sidebar, a lesser known importance of windows is the heat retention or heat loss in a home. So newer high efficiency triple pane windows, for example, actually retain heat very well. So in the wintertime, your heating bills will be slightly cheaper over a long period of time. You use less heat, and it's good for the environment. Again, something not everyone thinks about, but it is something that windows can contribute to your home. So a couple quick tips for the age of windows. First and foremost, the casing or frame of a window is the clearest giveaway of the age. The most common ones you're going to see are wood, aluminum, or vinyl casings. Basically, if you see a window that is wood frame or aluminum framed, it's going to be pretty old, if not quite old. Those materials just haven't been used practically in quite some time. The currently most common type of window used is vinyl casing windows, or vinyl windows, most people will say. You can probably picture them, or they're quite easy to spot. Essentially, if the window has a bit of a trim that's like a white plastic looking material, that's a vinyl window. Now, vinyl window doesn't mean new necessarily. Vinyl windows have been pretty commonplace in construction since about the 90s, early 90s. So in theory, a set of vinyl windows installed in the early 90s are towards the end of their useful life. Windows generally have a lifespan of around 25 to 30 years. Again, vinyl windows, 25 to 30 is the range most people will tell you. So in theory, if we have a home that has vinyl windows, but they were replaced in the 90s, those very well could be towards or at the end of their useful life anyways. A quick thing you can look for if to know the approximate age of a vinyl window Now, this is more so going to be in, say, a 50s, 60s, 70s home where if they have vinyl windows, okay, they've been replaced at some point, we don't know when. You can actually look at the coloring of the window casings. So the earlier vinyl windows, for whatever reason, the way they were made, without getting too boring here, the materials used in them would actually oxidize a little bit. So old vinyl windows will start to yellow and have a bit of a yellow creamy tinge to them, or be quite yellow. This is completely normal, but it just means they're from early to mid 90s. Now, when vinyl windows from this period, you know, they do yellow or whatever, but that actually doesn't compromise the integrity of the window at all. It just kind of shows its age. So something to kind of quickly look for in an older home. Replacement cost is going to vary quite a bit, as it does depend on the number of windows in any given home. But for the average home, I would say it's around the $15,000 to $20,000 range for replacement costs. This can, of course, go either way. Some people don't always replace all the windows in their home, or if you have any uniquely shaped windows, like any large bay windows, or if you opt for like the crank windows that you can open up for letting a breeze in, those are going to be more expensive as well. Just a quick interjection here, or a quick sidebar. So things like windows and roofs don't just fail overnight. What actually happens is they just slowly and continuously deteriorate and become less and less effective at protecting your home from the elements. So your roof isn't just going to crap out on you overnight. It will just slowly age and wither away and become less effective and allow more and more water to slowly seep in. So it's something that doesn't just happen overnight. It's a problem that continues to build. So if you have older roof or older windows on your home, it may not be dire need of a replacement, but it's going to be something that the longer it goes unchecked, the worse problems it can potentially create. Number 3 on the list of special considerations or items to consider for buying an older home is the furnace, right? It's no secret, Edmonton's a pretty cold place. We have snow on the ground for a large chunk of the year. For those 8-ish cold months of the year, you want to make sure you have a functioning furnace in your home. The average lifespan of a furnace is going to be 25 to 30 years, depending on maintenance, if not a little bit longer. However, when it comes to furnace, just to contradict my last point, age is arguably the largest factor, and a furnace is something that can quit on you overnight, so it's important to know the age and maintenance of it. So 2 quick things you can look for the approximate age of the furnace. Old furnaces are kind of easy to spot in terms of the shape and way they're built, and just how they look. It kind of shows the signs of aging, but also on top of that, it's all about stickers with furnaces. So very often on a furnace, you can sometimes see the permit application sticker on it, which will tell you the year it was installed. Or sometimes you will have a sticker with the date of installation from the company, or the City of Edmonton sticker that shows when the gas line permit was done. There's a few different ones. They're not always there, but it can give you some inclination. And again, like all of these items, if a furnace is new or newer, it's usually mentioned on the listing, and most sellers have some kind of idea, so your realtor can simply just ask the listing agent. Also, another thing to check for is the cleaning schedule on the furnace. So cleaning companies have stickers on there that they continually update anytime they clean a furnace. Now, a cleaning company will tell you a furnace should be cleaned every 2 years. I've heard home inspectors say more around every 3-4 is perfectly fine. So just keep an eye on that to see if the current seller has upkept the condition of the furnace. Again, an old furnace isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just important to note the general upkeep of it. Now, an inspector will open up the furnace and pull off the front panel and check the inside, which can tell you exactly the date it was made. They'll also take a look at a lot of the electrical components, etc., make sure that's all working just fine, and they'll do a quick carbon monoxide test, make sure everything's safe there. Now, the replacement cost of a furnace for the average kind of mid-efficiency furnace is going to be around the $5,000 to $7,000 mark, give or take, based on kind of the industry average, let's say. That's it for today's video. So these are the 3 items that are special considerations when you're buying an older home. Overall, as you can perhaps see here, it's kind of about looking at the mechanical components of the home, or the bones of the home, if you will. You want to make sure these are well maintained, if not new-ish, especially on an older home, and understand what you're getting yourself into. 2 quick items that I didn't mention today are the siding, as well as hot water tank, which can kind of be lumped in with these. Those I'll probably talk about in a later video. hot water tank actually is very simple. It's about $1,000 to fix. It's the smallest project of them all. And siding is very complicated, so that's probably a video for another day. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope you found this informative. If you have any questions at all about the home buying process, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can reach me at thomasharrington.ca. Or if you're looking to buy a home, if you head to my website, there's a free home buyer's guide that you can download. It's over 50 pages and it walks you through the entire home buying process. Would highly recommend. One final disclosure before we finish off here is anything, any advice, any numbers, any dates, any prices I give in this video are just approximate numbers based on both my experience, general industry knowledge, and then I guess just overall attending a lot of home inspections over the years. If you need an exact quote on any of these items, I recommend you contact a qualified service provider. And if you happen to need a referral for one of those, we can always set you up with a good one as well. So thanks for tuning in. Cheers.